Hello everybody and welcome back to the UK Open 2. You may notice I'm wearing a coat, it's incredibly cold in here. We are in round 8 of 9. We are nearly there, we're on the penultimate round.
Yes.
We have some, well, quite a nice, interesting match for you. We have a 60 card Lightsworn.
Yes, we see VJ Sadiua playing a 60 card Lightsworn with a lot of interesting tech cards there. Some one-off hand traps, some interesting spells, some Lightsworn monsters as well. So not the standard list that we've seen from a lot of players. And facing up against the bane of today, the going second SPYRAL list.
Yes.
Piloted here by Kristoffer Nielsen, who's travelled from Denmark to be with us for this event today. So should be some strong opposition. Most of the players that have been travelling to come and get here are players that we've seen having top performances in YCS and other large events around.
Yes. Is there anything interesting about either of these deck lists, or are they very standard?
The SPYRAL deck list looks fairly standard, as we've seen lots of them very close to the same. Lots of hand traps, evenly matched SPYRAL rescues, the typical going second SPYRAL list. But on the Lightsworn side here, we see Lightsworn Raikou, Lightsworn Lila. We see monster slots in the spell card.
Yes.
A little interesting extra summon, extra draw card. Interesting to see if that comes into effect. We have an effect veiler, not a hand trap that we've seen a lot of. Fallen out of favour with SPYRAL Resort, preventing cards that target. We see a slimmed down Shiranui zombie package. She's opting to play 2 solitaires and 1 uni zombie, whereas typically we see that at 3 and 2. Still the full 3 copies of Mizuki, but no Gozuki. So it's a bit of what we've seen and a bit of other stuff thrown in. Some interesting tech cards that be kind of fun to see how it plays out.
Definitely. So without further ado, because I believe that the main round event has started, let's head straight over to our feature match table. Okay, we should open the hands loading in.
We see the Lightsworn player there. Not the best opening hand. He has his Gem Knight playing the Sapphire, not the Garnet. 2 copies of Gamma, 1000 Blades, and a Solar Recharge. So he seems to have begun just by setting the 1000 Blades, or possibly even the Gem Knight, and passing. Really not the opening that he was hoping for there. Whereas on the other side of the table we see Lightsworn with, SPYRALs with Max C, Gamma, SPYRAL Mission Rescue, Terraforming, and SPYRAL Mission Assault. Plus a draw for turn, which I didn't quite catch there, but has access to SPYRAL tools to get going here. And with the Max C in hand, we can see that even if there is anything that starts to happen on the Lightsworn side of the table, there will be some counterplay and there will be some punishment if lots of special summons come down next time. You see the drone coming out here. Strong choice for Kristoffer here with drone, knowing that VJ hasn't had an explosive start. If he can stack the deck, he might be in a position to prevent a comeback. But opting just to go with the Quick Fix and the Last Resort equipped to be able to keep it on the field for a turn. So we see he has in hand at this point 2 SPYRAL missions, one of the spell and one of the trap. He's using the effect here of the SPYRAL Gear Last Resort to be able to send a card he controls to the grave, allowing SPYRAL Quick Fix to attack directly this turn. However, he's not aiming to do that for the effect to attack directly, more just to be able to put the SPYRAL mission spell into the grave, allowing him an extra summon and straight into the SPYRAL Double Helix. Again, as we said, being able to see the top 3 cards, ensure that VJ's hand won't be cleared up before the start of his second turn. We might be able to get a load through to see what he's looking at in those top 3 cards. Okay, so we see Monster Slots, Goblinberg, and Raiden. And we will see very shortly, when the double helix comes onto the board, just which one he's chosen to give to VJ to draw. So VJ will be drawing into a Goblinberg per turn. Now, that could allow him to make a play with the other level 4 monster that he'll have in his hand. Clearly he had 2 at the start of his first turn, chose to set one, but he's not going to be in a good position here because, as we've seen, SPYRAL takes 2 cards to set up, and then they'll be in control of the game until the end.
Yeah, it's very, very consistent and very, very easy to be able to kick off the plays.
Quick Fix coming back out from the grave by discarding a card. Search again for another SPYRAL gear. No access to the last resort as that's already been used. We see Link Summon with the double helix and with the Master Plan into the Decode Talker, and Master Plan's effect triggers on hitting the grave, searching out 2 new cards. The advantage really just stacking up at this point. That looks like Sleeper and a second SPYRAL Resort. Resort being played over the one already on the field for an additional search. A Super Agent joins the mix. VJ sat in an awful position here with 2 Psyframe Gear Gammas in hand, neither of which he's able to use because of the monster that he chose to set turn 1.
And that, of course, can put you in some absolutely awful positions as well, where you just kind of watch your field be eaten away with nothing you can do about it, simply because you've already put something down.
Yeah. We often see the Psyframe hand trap being ever so powerful, but if you have a monster on the field, it's not doing anything to you at all. And you have the downside of the driver as well, which nobody wants to draw. We've seen the Firewall Dragon coming out here, co-linked to the double helix. Will give a piece of interaction for the following turn, along with the SPYRAL Sleeper, also able to destroy the resort on field to pop 2 cards. VJ just checking to see if there's a monster left in the graveyard to be able to be returned with the SPYRAL Resort during the end phase. I see a lot of attack points lining up here.
Yeah, that is absolutely huge. Yeah, that's game 1 over very, very quickly. Kristoffer Nielsen winning there.
Yeah. Playing around the Gammas in hand by leaving a monster on the field until he was ready to just attack the game. No effects needed at that point. Just clear out the monster, and it's a free road to sticking 8,000 damage. Now, let's have a look at the side decks. What might be coming in here? We see for VJ, there could be Anti-Spell Fragrance, that he's playing first here. Possibly Twin Twisters, but limited effectiveness against a SPYRAL player, as we know, can be limited in what you can target with the SPYRAL Resort. And on the other side of the table, for Kristoffer, we have
Twin Twisters, Psyframe Gear, Epsilon.
Neither of those likely to come in, as Twin Twisters only dealing with back row. We don't see any trap cards for VJ.
Evenly matched the third one.
Yeah, Epsilon negates trap cards again, not going to be in. Magical Spring won't be in. Evenly matched, as you say, yep, likely to come in.
Floodgate Trap Hole.
Floodgate Trap Hole, that will depend on whether Kristoffer expects to be told to be played first. As we've seen previously, the SPYRAL deck set up to play second. There can be some play to be had if the opposition player requests the SPYRAL player to play first.
Yeah.
But the counterplay there is if Kristoffer chooses to side in his trap holes, he'll be ready for that, and he'll have some cards to deal with the first turn play from VJ.
Our two players are shuffling up. Ready to go into game 2 very soon.
Looks like the floodgate trap holes were staying in the side deck, so Kristoffer perhaps not expecting to be told to be playing first. Now, we didn't see very much from VJ that game. Yet again, we've been seeing bricks. Hands full of cards that don't really make a play from the player going first, and it's led to a lot of very swift games just like this one.
Yeah.
Perhaps this time he will draw the combo pieces that he needs and be able to establish a bit more of a board.
Bricking is one of the worst feelings. Just drawing your opening hand, looking at it and going, oh god, I can't play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Go sit here and watch my opponent do stuff for the next few turns.
And you even had one of the more painful hands where you sit there and you look at your hand traps and you think, this would be a lot better if I was going second, having chosen to go first. Or alternatively, it may have been that Kristoffer won the die roll and chose himself to play second, forcing the Lightsworn player into first. But this time, VJ will be able to choose, so he'll have to make the decision as to whether he would rather gain the advantage himself of going first, or deny the SPYRAL deck its planned setup of playing second.
What would you do?
At this point, I think I would still play first.
Yeah.
We didn't see very much of the SPYRAL deck. We don't even know for certain at this point that it is necessarily the build for going second, despite the fact that it is the more popular build. So in a deck that's designed for going first, I would still stick to my guns, trust what I've prepared going into the event, and say I'm going to go first, and I'm going to hope that I don't brick so badly this game as I did the last one.
Makes sense. So, we've got headers loaded in. Okay, so VJ is going first.
And we have opening hands coming in. We see for VJ 2 copies of Charge of the Light Brigade, a copy of Wolf, 1 Brilliant Fusion, and a Psy-Frame Gear Gamma. On the opposite side of the table, we have Ash Blossom, Gamma, Driver, and 2 Spiral Tough. So, ooh, this is big. The Ash Blossom is coming down on the Brilliant Fusion, and the Gamma will follow. But Kristoffer has his own Gamma to force through the Ash.
Wow.
Summoning both Gamma and the Driver from Kristoffer's hand, negating the Gamma from VJ, and allowing the Ash Blossom to negate the Brilliant Fusion at Chainlink 1. So at this point, VJ has left in his hand just 2 copies of Charge and the Wolf. He'll need to be hitting some good cards with his mills.
Definitely. I mean, he's a... Oh, let's have a look. Oh.
Was that Thousand Blades and Trick Clown on the mill?
I believe it was.
If that's the Thousand Blades underneath, he might have just milled the godly mills that we were suggesting he might be needing. Yeah, it looks like it is. So from being in a position with very little going for him, he's managed to hit one of the best 2-card combos to mill at the same time in the deck. Kristoffer at this point requesting that he gets a cut before the next Charge of the Light Brigade is resolved, possibly feeling a bit worse for wear after those first 3 mills.
That one wasn't so great.
No, nothing coming out there, but You really see some huge power coming onto the board with 2 3 level 4 monsters. VJ is likely to summon the Raiden here to try and hit a snow into the grave. Not this time, but he may get another 2 mils in the end phase if he chooses to leave it face up. Alternatively, he may decide that he needs to use it as a tuner to get into an Omega. Opting for a Synchro Summon here. I assume we'll see an Omega hitting the field. So we see Kristoffer is going to be starting his turn with just 2 copies of Spiral Tough in his hand. Unless he draws a way to put a second monster on the field, he's not in the best position.
As a result,
Terraforming one of the best top decks here. Finds his resort. He'll show us just what Spirals can do without many cards in hand. At this point he has the ability to use Spiral Tough, check the top card of VJ's deck, and he's guaranteed to hit when he reveals one for the Super Agent in hand. Despite the miss with Tough, that's not the most important part here, just having that knowledge of the top card of the deck. So despite starting his turn with only 2 cards available to him,
wow.
Kristoffer had everything that he needed here. And we'll see, just as we've seen before, what Spiral can do.
And here we go. Down comes Double Helix. But wait, there's more. When you purchase 1 Double Helix for a low price, you will get 1 Master Plan.
As we've seen before, Master Plan comes with the Rescue, and then Link Summonal, and you get 2 new cards. 2 cards become 4 cards, become 6 cards.
Your Master Plan comes with 1 free Rescue.
And a resort.
And a
Spiral
resort.
monster.
And a Spiral monster. But don't worry, it doesn't stop there. Have a Decode Talker.
I feel like we're in some sort of 1990s infomercial for Spiral at this point.
Are you tired of losing, going second? Play Spiral.
You see Kristoffer just going through the motions as he did in game 1. Playing out the combo. And VJ just has to sit there and wait with Wolf and Lila in hand. There's nothing that he can do to interrupt.
That's the thing, back in the day, back in my day, before we had all these fancy hand traps, you just sit there and watch your opponent do their play without being able to do absolutely anything.
Well, back then there were real traps.
But these days, it's even worse, because you have hand traps, but if you don't have them, you gotta sit thinking, oh, wish I had my hand traps.
Okay, so we've just seen a last resort there used to send the Rescue that he added to hand from the field to the graveyard. He's able to use the Rescue to get the Spiral Tough onto the board.
It's gone. Then 3,300. Oh, and they shook hands, yeah.
Nothing VJ can do at that point.
There we go.
For damage.
So ends this round. Kristoffer has just taken that 2-0. Let's go to our post-match discussion to talk a little bit more about that game. And so this is a very short one because there was just literally nothing that VJ could do there.
Well, we saw a huge chain being played out at the start of turn 1 there with Brilliant Fusion into Ash Blossom into Gamma, and every time a card hits the board, it's shifting, losing control, but with Kristoffer having the final chain link, he's in control of how everything resolves, and VJ is stuck in a similar position to how he was in game 1, not being able to play much at all. Nearly gets put back into the game by perfect mills from that first charge of the Light Brigade, but even then, not enough to deal with what 2 cards of a Spiral hand can put onto the field.
Yep. And just again and again and again, I play every round. Huge example of Spiral just doing what Spiral does. Advantage, advantage, advantage. Spiral, spiral, spiral. Get more Spiral.
Yeah,
2 Spirals, get more Spirals.
It shows the power of a deck that's built around 2-card combos and huge versatility as to which 2 cards they can be. You just need to be able to get 2 Spiral monsters onto the field, and you're cooking with gas. There's not a lot that's going to shut you down, particularly in the games that we've seen where the opposition hasn't even had the hand traps to counter it.
Yeah, yeah. So we have like loads of time because that ended up really, really quickly. So I think we should bring our winner in for an interview, and then maybe if we've got anybody hanging around, we might do maybe another interview. Well, we'll just see where we go with it. So we'll be back very, very soon with an interview with the winner.